Week 11 of the NFL season is in the rearview mirror. We're on to week 12, and kicking it off on Thursday Night Football is going to be the Houston Texans, my Houston Texans, versus the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, Davis Mills, Nico Collins, a lot of studs that we are going to talk about, so stick around because Kevin Tompkins and I are going to break down everything you need to know so you can spin to win on FantasySpin for week 12 Thursday Night Football action. Like I mentioned, that is Kevin Tompkins. I'm Colby Conway. So, Kevin, we have the Houston Texans. We have the Buffalo Bills. There's times with both of these teams where I'm like, they just can't get out of their own way. Sean McDermott just loves to, honestly, get in the way of that team. And then Nick Caley, I'm going to mention his name many times on here, and I don't know how positive it's going to end up being. But it's two coaches that might just kind of get in the way. But how do you foresee this game playing out? What are your thoughts on it? Who's like a must-have player? Give me that high-level overview of this game.
I mean, this could be fun, or this could be continuing the trend of really, really annoying island games. We've seen how many games in a row now where we're all pulling, I don't have any hair, but if I did, I'd be pulling it out. But yeah, I mean, we're looking at a 43.5 over under in this game. Like, Josh Allen can probably do like more than half of that by himself. But we're going to need some Texans to come along for the ride. Obviously, we're hoping to get Nico Collins here. We're hoping, for Davis Mills, that the Davis Mills experience to bring the Texans along to maybe push the Bills a little bit, get some offense in here.
And you think it could, because the Bills defense banged up and not good the past couple of weeks. I'll kind of leave it as both. And, looking at the injury report here, most of the injuries are kind of on offense. A lot of the defensive guys are limited, but even so, bad rush defense you can throw on this team. And with Josh Allen seemingly scoring at will the past couple of weeks, it could be a pretty good game environment. We just saw it last week. What was that? That Buffalo Tampa Bay game got to the 70s, I think 40 something, 30 something.
Yeah. I mean, but that was the Josh Allen show. He pretty much put that team on his back. I mean, that's what we're hoping to get him and lock him in this particular lineup, because that's pretty much the free square, especially when you're looking at everybody else. And look, boom.
And that goes. It's a Thursday night contest staple. I always talk about it. Depending on the game. Like, my example is if we got Chiefs Bills Thursday night football, I'm not wasting a lock on the quarterback, because I'm going to get 25 from Josh Allen, or I'm going to get 24.1 from Patrick Mahomes. I'm not too concerned about that. Now, you were very adamant there on Josh Allen, but may I remind you, while Josh Allen is the QB1 over the last 2 weeks, Davis the Neck Mills is QB5.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to figure the other shoe's got to drop at some point for Davis Mills. I know this is your Texans, and I trust me, I get it, but the Bills, I just don't know if the Davis Mills, and it's hard to look at Josh Allen and kind of not lock him in there, even though we have him. If we had gotten Davis Mills, and get him in like the next couple spins, I think that might be where we kind of roll the dice there. But since we've got him, I think we got to lock him.
Yeah, and we do only get, probably should tell you this, we do only get one quarterback spot. So what we could do, let's make this a Josh Allen lineup, and then maybe we go for a Davis Mills lineup and kind of talk about how we can work that. I agree with you. As much of a homer as I am, I'm on Josh Allen for the likes of Davis Mills. That's just not going to happen. We're going to lock in Josh Allen, but I am curious because these two teams did play last year. I believe it was week 4 or 5 last year. Josh Allen went 9 of 30 in that game for 131 yards, 1 touchdown, but he did have 54 yards on the ground. Listen, I'm not going to say D'Amico has his number. They've played one time, the two of them. So I'm not going to say that Josh Allen can't beat a D'Amico Ryans defense. It happened one time. So I won't say that. Right below Josh Allen, we do get Nico Collins. He's seemingly been unlocked with Davis Mills. I don't know if Nick Caley has got it in CJ Stroud's head of spread the ball, spread the ball, spread the ball. Everybody gets 5 targets. And Davis Mills just basically said, F that, Nico's down there somewhere, and is just peppering Nico Collins with targets. So in a game where he is he is the best wide receiver in this game. If you get Nico Collins, you have to lock him in this matchup, right?
Yeah, 4 straight games that, out of 5, The last 5, he didn't play in week 8 against the Niners, but 4 games with 10 targets or more. I mean, we're looking at this generation's Julio Jones. When you get Nico Collins, he's as lock buttons it gets, especially when you compare him with everybody else that could possibly be rolled in this game. He's front and center, number 1 with a bullet.
Through the first couple weeks of the season, the whole kind of the theme around that Houston Texans offense was they hate the rookies. They won't play Jalen Noel. They don't play Jaden Higgins. They don't trust them. It's let's run Braxton Berrios out there. I will be the first to admit I was all on Christian Kirk this offseason. It set up perfectly for the slot receiver to come in a former New England guy's offense. It was set to be perfect. He looked atrocious.
Yeah, yeah, he doesn't have the same gear that even in Jacksonville. Like we were hoping that maybe Christian Kirk could be like weeks 1 through 4 kind of bridge to the other guys, and that just really hasn't happened because nobody's really getting any routes. Like you're looking at Christian Kirk and Xavier Hutchinson getting a little bit more of the routes, but Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel are kind of stuck in neutral right now. And Higgins has been 7 targets his last 2 games, but there's a lot of variance with the Texans receivers outside of Nico Collins, and Dalton Schultz has come on. I've slung some arrows at Dalton Schultz in the last couple seasons, but with Davis Mills, he's got some upside. He's got like that Cade Otton-ish upside where he's running routes, he's running a ton, but he's just peppered as like the number 2 target and pretty comfortably number 2.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz is the pass catcher 2 on this offense. I will say Jaden Higgins has emerged now as the wide receiver 2 for the team behind Nico Collins. And like you mentioned, 7+ in back-to-back games, but 7+ targets in 3 of his last 4. Snap shares trending up. Look good. It seems like the production is there. So if we look out of here, we do get him in one of those flex spots there. What do you think about Jaden Higgins? I know Josh Allen's our quarterback, but what do you think about locking in Jaden Higgins as well? Because he's getting targets in the red zone. They're trusting him down there, and it's only a matter of time. I mean, coming out, he is a mini Nico Collins just because the height, the speed, the measurables were all very similar. There's still a lot of growth to happen, but it seems like they are finally trusting him, and Davis Mills has talked about him very well. So what do you think about locking in Jaden Higgins?
Yeah, I'm fine with that as far as like an upside option. 55% routes, like it's not super great there, but the intent is there to get him downfield with a 14.5 ADOT in the last 2 games, 99 and 104 air yards as well with those targets. So they're making a concerted effort to get him involved downfield. And as you see, the downfield targets are going to hit at some point. He had a touchdown in week 10, 4 for 55 last game. So look, all it takes is one in like this kind of thing where if you hit on a 50-yard touchdown, I mean, that's what, 12 points right there.
Yep. And then other guys on here, we're not going to lock in Nick Chubb. We want Woody Marks, so we're not going with him. We're not going with the Buffalo kicker. Ty Johnson is interesting just because the last 4 weeks, Houston has allowed the 4th most receiving yards to running backs. But up in that running back spot, I would rather spin for the likes of either James Cook or Woody Marks. So as much as I kind of am intrigued by Ty Johnson, I don't think I'm locking him in right there in that spot.
Yeah, like he's fine if like we wouldn't have a choice on our last spin, but he's the guy with the league trending up is in terms of like running back air yards. We've seen it with Bijan, we see it with HN. Like Ty Johnson was the guy doing that well before a lot of those running backs. So with running backs now running wide receiver routes and that being a regular thing in like the offenses of today, like Ty Johnson is not a bad, fallback option if that's who you got. And it's certainly better than the Nick Chubb or like a lot of the ancillary receivers on either team.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and spin it again here. Ty Johnson comes back up, but we do get James Cook down there in the flex spot. So I don't think we have to kind of disagree. We're locking in James Cook. So we'll do that. And then Kincaid's, it doesn't seem like he's going to play DNP Monday and Tuesday. So not going to get him. And we can do better than 3.2 points. Obviously on FantasySpin, if a player doesn't play or does not score, you do get their pregame projection. I'm more confident that we can get someone in the flex to outscore that 3.2 points there. So really now, as we're going into our last spin, up in that running back spot, we can't get James Cook, so we locked him in. So really, ideal choice is Woody Marks. And then next up is probably Ty Johnson. And then down in that flex spot, who are you thinking? Like Khalil Shakir? I know he missed some time with a personal issue. Is it maybe another Baltimore or Buffalo pass catcher? Or is it Dalton Schultz?
I think it might be Dalton Schultz,
Mhm.
honestly. What stinks about this is because the Texans play so much zone, the two guys that would take advantage of that, Kincaid and Shakir,
Yeah.
are, up in the air. Obviously, Kincaid's been out, but Shakir, we don't know anything about his status right now. So, that you can't really put him in there, like lock him into anything. So, yeah, it would probably be Schultz. I think maybe I don't know. Everybody else is kind of in a bucket because we don't know what's going to happen with Keon Coleman, if he's going to be even active. Tyrell Shavers is up in the air. Josh Palmer. I mean, there's a lot of
Well,
options, and we're going to get guys that are going to play. That's the thing. We're not going to end up getting a guy with runs 5 routes.
I got it. I know who we need if it's not Dalton Schultz down there. I know it. I already got it. I know the name that we need.
Boom.
Kaimi Fairbairn, Houston's second best offensive player. Kaimi Fairbairn.
There you
That
go. Well,
is what we need. Okay. Well, hey, we got Woody Marks at least. So at least coming out of this lineup, Josh Allen, Woody Marks, Nico Collins, James Cook, and then kind of our two guys that we're hoping to differentiate from everybody else is Dawson Knox and Jaden Higgins. It's really not a bad lineup.
yeah, Knox isn't like bad either. It's just
Mm,
because of how much they mix and match all those tight ends with Knox and Hawes and
yeah.
another Kaliki Latu that ended up running like 25% routes. Never heard of him in my life, and I chart all this stuff for a living, so it's kind of bad. But yeah, that's you gotta hope he gets a touchdown. That's the play with Dawson Knox.
That is certainly the play indeed. So let's do a little pick 'em here. So, Kevin, of the players on the screen, looking at their projected point totals, which ones are you most confident in exceeding their projected point total as shown on the screen?
We're doing full. I think I'm more confident Nico Collins
Okay.
over 14.7. I mean, Allen 21 is a pretty high, a little higher than I'd like. And then Cook, you really got to hope he gets in the end zone too. I mean, it's a tough Houston defense, certainly. Marks are, the AFC Rashad White. I'm not super enthused by 13.8 points. He's
Mhm.
going to have to do a lot of that in the receiving game. And I don't see him getting to that. I think Nico is the lock here. 14.7, I think, is very attainable.
Yep, I like Nico. We need to get a Buffalo guy in there. So I am going to go James Cook just for the fact that, like I said
Yeah.
earlier, last 4 weeks, running backs have hurt Houston. Henry Toa is just flat footed Henry, is what I call him every time watching him on Sunday. Just stands there and then he finally moves his feet once the guy's already 3 yards freaking past him. So I'm going to go James Cook. And then I'm torn between Higgins and Woody Marks. It's such a good matchup against Buffalo, like on the ground. They haven't been all that great in the defending the run this year. Second most fantasy points allowed to running backs on the year to the position. And it's Marks' backfield now. Chubb is now the clear number 2. And then for some freaking reason, Nick Caley continues to play Daria Gumbawale on third downs.
I
It's
mean, look,
baffling to me.
anytime you got to roster a third kicker, I mean, I guess you gotta get some kind of utility out of him in the run game.
Kevin, I'm gonna tell you this. In the moment when he made that kick, it was the coolest thing ever, and now I hate him for it because now I think they just keep. He's a freaking captain this year.
Look, you can't quantify the leadership qualities in a spreadsheet. As much as I've tried, you can't. So
Well, it doesn't matter in FantasySpin, so
it
all
does
it does
not.
is make me upset. I'll go Woody Marks, so we'll put him in there. Let's lock that entry in here. So hey, that's a top 5 projected finish right there. That's not too shabby. So we'll go ahead and spin it again. So let's do for this one. Obviously, it's our first spin here, so we are not beholden to locking in Davis Mills. But for the folks out there who do happen to get stuck with Davis Mills, what optimism can you give them besides the fact that he is the QB5 over the last 2 weeks? I'm just saying.
I mean, I think you're locked in because I know this could be a rock fight between these two teams where it could get ugly. But I do honestly think that if Buffalo gets up on this on the Texans for whatever reason, if Josh Allen just decides to buck that single game trend, I think there's going to be some passing attempts in line for old Davis Mills where, let him feed Nico Collins, let him feed Xavier Higgins, let him feed Schultz. I don't think 40 to 45 pass attempts is out of the question in a game scenario like that. Like probably your median, I think your median projection is still between 32 and 37. I don't think that's, when you're getting that many and you're letting him throw, I mean, based on how he's done, I think you're still in a pretty good spot.
And if you look at like pass rate over expectation the last 2 weeks, obviously game script helped in that Jacksonville game. They were at 2.1%. But last week against Tennessee, when they were within one score for all the game or leading, 11.1% pass rate over expectation. They're comfortable with letting Davis Mills kind of throw it. And I mean, I don't know. He just seems like a Nick Caley guy. So do with that what you will. So there is room for optimism if you do get stuck with Davis Mills. It's not like I can't win because I don't have Josh Allen. That might not necessarily be the case. You might be playing a little behind the 8 ball, but you're not completely out of the running there. So we're recording this here on Tuesday evening. So obviously we do have the news that Khalil Shakir is dealing with a personal matter, did not practice Monday, did not practice Tuesday. Once again, with FantasySpin, if a player doesn't play, you do get their pregame projection. We happen to have Khalil Shakir here at 11 points. That might be pretty good for a wide receiver not named Nico Collins. And like you said, Houston plays a ton of zone, and they're vulnerable out of the slot. They don't have Jalen Petrie. Sometimes they'll kick Kamari Lassiter in, which isn't a great matchup, but Houston's been more vulnerable from the slot versus out wide this season. So obviously I would like to know if Shakir was playing, but at least on the onset, he's got to be the Buffalo receiver you trust. And I'm putting that in air quotes the most.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty much the locked in, as far as like guys you can set your watch to in terms of running routes, and anybody else is just in a bucket. I mean, Keon Coleman was running routes and then obviously was inactive, and we don't know anything about that. So with Shakir potentially out, like what was it was 11.5, I think it was
for Shakir. 11.2.
So you're okay. So 11.2, you're locking in 5 for 62. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take him. And then I'm giving the lock to Fairbairn. I mean, look at those numbers when this guy plays. I mean, I know he's coming off an injury, missed a game or two, but Houston, this bugs me too. Once they cross the 35 or they get to the 35, they are like, hey, we're good. We are in range. He had 5 field goals against Denver, all within 30, but he can make the 50 plus. I mean, Houston is content to let him just wail away on field goals. And I think with their offense, they know if they get within range for points, they have to take them.
Yeah. Controlled environment too. So that helps too.
He loves kicking at home and loves kicking in a dome. So we're going to lock in Fairbairn. We're not locking in any of those other guys there. So we'll spin it again. What do you think about Josh Palmer? Because, I mean, again, you don't really fully know at the moment what's going to be up with Khalil Shakir. He's got his own knee and ankle, but he was limited Monday, Tuesday, so he should be fine. If I'm not mistaken, Palmer does play a little bit more on the perimeter, if I'm not mistaken. So that is going to put him more along the likes of Derek Stingley Jr. and Kamari Lassiter. But what do you make of Palmer in this matchup?
I mean, I think Palmer's like totally fine. He had 5 targets. He, co-led in targets last week. But, Shabers had the big game, so make of that what you will. Only 2 catches for 17 yards, but still ran almost 50% of routes. Like I said, everybody mixes and matches there. It's like it's really hard to peg someone down. And who knows? This could be a game where Tyrell Shabers runs because he, seemed to be the beneficiary of Keon Coleman being out. So this could be a thing where, okay, we saw this, maybe we put a little more on his plate too. So that could also be in the cards where if we get a Tyrell Shabers, I mean, that could be kind of putting lightning in a bottle there with him. But I still do. They mix and match all those guys, especially if Shakir is out. You got to look to Josh Palmer. You got to look to, the Shabers, and, miss me with Gabe Davis, miss me with pretty much anybody else there.
Absolutely. So let's do this. We talked enough about Davis Mills. For the sake of this, let's lock in Woody. Let's lock in Dalton Schultz, and then we will spin for the final spot there. Well, you said his name and you spoke him into existence.
Is it the playoffs? I mean, I hope it's the playoffs. We're getting Gabe Davis.
Maybe we do get playoff Gabe on Thursday Night Football. Yeah. So going from this one, Kevin, which player or players on here are you most confident going over their projected total? I have a feeling it might be Dalton Schultz from you, but I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely Dalton Schultz. I mean, 8.3. I mean, he might get over that in targets. So that's pretty locked in.
Yep, I'll go Fairbairn. I am going to put Josh Allen in this one solely because it seems like at the most inopportune times as a Texans fan, a quarterback breaks the pocket and rushes for a big one. So we will lock in that. That'll be the spins. That is everything you need to know for Thursday Night Football between the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans, game happening Thursday night in Houston. So Kevin, thank you so much for joining, breaking down the game with me. Why don't you let everyone know where they can find you, any content you going on for the season, and where you are on socials?
Yeah, man, appreciate it. You can find me at K Tompkins II on X, the Everything app, as well as on Blue Sky. Work for Rotoballer, Optimus Fantasy, as well as the Huddle on USA Today. Putting out my Survivor article in the next couple days, as well as a lot of other stuff, especially Angles and Leverage on Friday night, Saturday morning. Just some scattershot thoughts about DFS and just my thoughts on every game in the slate. So I'll look for that at Optimus Fantasy.
Make sure you check all that out. Give me a follow as well on X at Colby R. Conway. And if you want to spin to win and experience the most exciting and the newest way to play daily fantasy sports, head on over to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Download the FantasySpin app today, and we will see you on the leaderboard. What's up, y'all? Hope you enjoyed the content. For the avoidance of doubt, please note that I, Colby Conway, am a DFS player entering these contests under the username Colby Conway. The strategies and recommendations in this video do not necessarily reflect the views of FantasySpin. Please play responsibly and visit fantasyspin.com/responsible gaming to take advantage of FantasySpin's responsible gaming resources.